Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Gentlemen, there seems to be a clamoring for changing the mark-to-market rules that seems to come largely from institutions that may be insolvent. And that's the pattern that I'm seeing. And I'm wondering if we should try to apply this to other situations in everyday life. I'll give you a few examples if you want. I'm 6'4". It's pretty uncomfortable for me to sit in airplane seats, and sometimes, to be honest, I bump my head when I'm going through a tight door passage. I'm wondering if we should eliminate mark-to-market rules and also make inches larger so that I'd only be 5'8". We have a lot of traffic on the Beltway. I got a suggestion from Freddie Mac recently that if we could just change the ratio of circumference to diameter, pi, if we could just change that ratio, that would move the Beltway further away. So Freddie Mac says to me that it wants to eliminate mark-to-market rules and increase pi to 4 to alleviate the Beltway traffic. I got another suggestion from AIG. The suggestion is that since the Wizards lost to New Orleans this week by a score of 109 to 98, they want to eliminate the mark-to-market rules, and they also want to make sure that 98 is more than 109 in the future so that the Wizards will have won that game. Gentlemen, does it make any sense to kill the messenger when mark-to-market tells you that an institution is insolvent? Let's start with Mr. Croker.
We do not recommend a suspension of fair value, and so to your direct question, no, but there are issues that in our study we think warrant improvement, including the operation of the determination of fair value, as well as how to calculate and report other than temporary impairments. But as it relates to the scorekeeping, if you will, we do not recommend a suspension of fair value.
But isn't that really the heart of the matter? Isn't it the heart of the matter that people not only want to change the rules in the middle of the game, but they want to change the rules when the game is already over? Mr. Herz?
I don't know whether the game is over or not. I'm just a humble accounting standard setter, but I will observe that a couple of things to that point. The bank stocks continue to trade well below their accounting book value. A majority of the bank stocks are well below their accounting book value. The acquisitions you saw of I think it was National City by PNC and Wachovia by Wells Fargo, the prices paid by the acquiring banks for the acquired banks was like 30% of the recorded book value. So if the write-offs are excessive, one would have expect not to have that kind of thing. I think some of the mark-to-market write-offs may be a little bit excessive, but remember that the single largest financial asset of most of the banks, once you get past the money center banks, are loans. And loans are carried on a cost basis that does not timely reflect the problems that may underlie them. The allowance for loan losses lags the problems.
So let's be clear about this, Mr. Hertz. What you're saying is that the stock market in its infinite wisdom is telling us not that the mark-to-market rules have made companies mark down their book values too much, but maybe the accounting rules have made them not mark down their book values enough. Is that what the stock market's telling us right now?
Yeah, I think that's right. I think there's two aspects of that. One is that there's skepticism, A, over the loans, and B, there's skepticism as to whether or not the OTT write-offs have yet been taken, because there is this kind of dam effect, and people you get like a year, sometimes more. It has to have really been a sustained downward value for a long period of time, and so when the problem started to surface in September of 2007 or August of 2007, the write-downs only really started in the third quarter of 2008, year-end, still, because you get this grace period. There's a cushion.
So what you're suggesting, Mr. Hertz, is that there may be institutions that are insolvent, and they haven't been forced to write down their books to the point yet, and those are maybe the same institutions that are asking us to modify the mark-to-market rules so that they won't have to admit that they're bankrupt. Is that correct?
I share your point of view, and I will tell you that I get calls and visits from some of those institutions that are now in government hands, usually about 2 weeks before they get taken over, trying to get the accounting changed.
Sorry, would you explain that a little further, and then my time is up?
Well, a lot of the people that have been the loudest complainers, and there are valid issues, and we're going to address them. So there are some real valid issues, and we're going to try to address them and give better guidance in that. But clearly, some of the most vocal opponents of fair value and mark-to-market have been some of those institutions that subsequently failed. And
Thank you all.
And have had to have billions of taxpayer dollars put into them.
Thank you all, and thank you, Mr. Chairman.